I found his engagement ring in my sister's jewelry box, my identical twin sister's jewelry box, the ring I thought was meant for me. God, I can still feel that moment, my fingers trembling as I held it up to the light, recognizing the vintage emerald setting I'd shown him in an antique shop 6 months earlier. This is the one I'd whispered to Ethan that day, and he'd smiled that smile that made me feel like the only woman in the world. I wasn't the only woman in his world. I was just one of two. Identical options, 3 years. That's how long Ethan and I were together before everything imploded. 3 years of what I thought was building a life with my soulmate. I met him at a charity run in Boston. I volunteered at the registration table, and he kept circling back to ask questions he didn't need answers to. By the third time, I was already blushing, scribbling my number on the back of a race pamphlet. That night, he called instead of texting, and we talked until 3 a.m. Who does that anymore? It felt old-fashioned, intentional. Special. Our relationship moved fast, but never felt rushed. 6 months in, we were practically living together in my apartment in Cambridge. At 1 year, we were planning trips months in advance. At 2 years, we were discussing children's names, hypothetically at first, then with more seriousness. Eliza for a girl, James for a boy. The future seemed so certain. Emma, my twin, met Ethan at my birthday dinner about 3 months after we started dating. I remember being so excited for them to meet. Emma and I were close, not in that creepy twin way people always expect, finishing each other's sentences or feeling each other's pain. We were individuals who happened to share a face, but we were still best friends, still called each other daily, still the first person the other would turn to in a crisis. "He's gorgeous," Emma whispered to me in the restaurant bathroom that night. "You hit the jackpot, sis." I beamed with pride. "I know, right? And he's even better on the inside." I didn't notice then how long she looked at herself in the mirror after saying that, adjusting her hair, reapplying her lipstick. Why would I? I had no reason to be suspicious of my own sister. The first crack appeared about 1.5 years into my relationship with Ethan. He started working late more often, missing dinners, being vague about his whereabouts. Classic signs, I know now. But I trusted him completely. Why wouldn't I? He looked at me like I hung the moon. When he was with me, he was fully present, asking questions about my day, remembering small details, planning thoughtful dates. He bought me a first edition copy of Jane Eyre for Christmas, because I'd mentioned it was my favorite book in high school. What kind of cheater does that? A good one, apparently. Around the same time, Emma became distant. Our daily calls dwindled to weekly, then bi-weekly. She always had an excuse. Work was crazy. She was dating someone new, but wasn't ready to talk about it. She needed space to figure out her life. I gave her that space. That's what sisters do, right? Respect boundaries. Trust each other's process. I was giving space to the two people I loved most, while they were building a world together behind my back. The proposal came on our 3rd anniversary. Ethan took me to Chatham on Cape Cod, where we'd had our first weekend getaway. We walked along the beach at sunset, and he got down on one knee right where we'd taken our first photo together. I cried. He slipped a beautiful sapphire ring on my finger. Not the emerald I'd pointed out, but still gorgeous. "I wanted something that matched your eyes," he explained. I called Emma immediately after, of course. She sounded strange on the phone, happy for me, but distant. She couldn't make it to our impromptu celebration dinner the following weekend. "Another work emergency. I'm really sorry, Lena," she said. "I promise I'll make it up to you. We'll have a Sister's Day soon, just us." That Sister's Day never came. For the next 2 months, as I dove into wedding planning, Emma became a ghost in my life. Our parents noticed too. "Is everything okay with your sister?" Mom asked during Sunday dinner. "She's canceled on us 3 times now." I defended her. "She's going through something, maybe a bad breakup." She mentioned she was seeing someone, but now she clams up when I ask. The irony is suffocating. I decided to surprise Emma at her apartment in Somerville one evening in May. I brought wine, face masks, and wedding magazines, sister stuff, reconnection stuff. I still had her spare key, so when she didn't answer my knocks, I let myself in. I called out her name, but the apartment was silent. I figured she was running late, so I made myself comfortable, opening the wine to let it breathe. I wasn't snooping, not really. I was looking for wine glasses in her bedroom because I knew she kept the nice ones in there. That's when I saw it. A man's watch on her nightstand, a familiar watch. The Breitling I'd given Ethan for his birthday. My stomach dropped to my feet. Still, my brain scrambled for explanations. Maybe it was just similar. Maybe Ethan had lost his, and this was, what, a cosmic coincidence? I opened her jewelry box, telling myself I was being paranoid. And there it was, the emerald ring, my emerald ring, the one I'd shown Ethan that day in the antique shop, the one that wasn't on my finger. I sank to the floor, the room spinning around me. Photos on Emma's dresser suddenly caught my eye. New frames I hadn't noticed before, turned slightly away from the door. I crawled over and picked one up. Ethan and Emma, arms wrapped around each other at what looked like a cabin somewhere. Another photo, them kissing in front of a Christmas tree. The dates on the digital frame cycled through, pictures spanning the last 18 months, while he was with me, while she was my sister. I don't remember much of what happened next. I know I was still sitting on her bedroom floor when I heard keys in the front door. Voices, laughter. Them. You should have seen his face when I told him I needed the afternoon off for a family emergency, Emma was saying. Ethan's laugh. The laugh I thought belonged to me. Well, technically, you will be family soon. I stood up. My body felt disconnected from my mind, like I was floating above myself, watching a movie. I walked to the bedroom doorway just as they entered the living room, their faces when they saw me. God, I'll never forget it. Not shock, not even guilt at first, just annoyance, like I was an inconvenience, a plot complication. Lena. Emma recovered first. What are you doing here? I held up the emerald ring. My voice came out eerily calm. I think the better question is, what is this doing here? Ethan stepped forward, hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. Lena, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain why my fiancé's watch is on my sister's nightstand? Can you explain these photos of you together dating back to when you were supposedly working late? Can you explain why she has the ring I showed you, the one you said was too expensive, but apparently wasn't too expensive for her? Emma moved closer to Ethan, actually took his hand. Right in front of me. We didn't mean for this to happen, Lena. For what to happen exactly? For you to fuck my boyfriend behind my back for a year and a half? For him to propose to me with one ring while hiding another for you? Ethan had the audacity to look offended. It wasn't like that. I love you both. I couldn't choose. I laughed. Actually laughed. So you didn't. You just strung us both along. What was the plan, Ethan? Marry us both? Take turns with the twins? I was going to tell you, he said, after the wedding, my wedding, that I'd been planning while he was building a parallel life with my sister. After the wedding, I repeated. So your plan was to marry me while secretly engaged to my sister. Then what? They exchanged a look that told me everything. They'd discussed this, planned this. I was going to break it off with you gently, he said. We thought it would be easier that way. Easier for them. How long? I asked Emma, ignoring Ethan completely now. How long have you been seeing him? She looked down. Since your birthday dinner. 3 months after we started dating, almost the entire relationship. Did you ever think about me, even once? Did either of you? Emma started crying then. Those practiced tears she'd used since we were kids to get out of trouble. Of course we did. We just fell in love, Lena. We tried to fight it. Not hard enough. I threw the emerald ring at them. It hit the wall and fell to the carpet. You can have each other. You deserve each other. I walked out. Neither of them tried to stop me. The next few months were a blur of pain I can barely describe. I had to call everyone, family, friends, the venue, the caterer, and cancel a wedding while trying to explain why without completely falling apart. I moved out of my apartment because everything there reminded me of Ethan. I crashed on friends' couches until I found a studio in Medford I could afford on my own. My parents were caught in an impossible position. Their daughters weren't speaking. One had betrayed the other in the most fundamental way. Mom tried to mediate at first. She's still your sister, Lena. Family is forever. So is betrayal, I told her. Some things can't be fixed. Dad was more firmly in my corner. He refused to speak to Emma for months, which only created more tension. I never asked them to choose sides, but sides formed anyway. Extended family split into factions. Friends awkwardly tried to navigate relationships with both of us. It was a mess of biblical proportions. The worst part wasn't losing Ethan. It was losing my twin, the person who had been with me literally from conception, the other half of me. And losing her not to death or distance, but to choice. Her choice to betray me in the most intimate way possible. I spiraled, lost weight, couldn't sleep, went to work on autopilot, started therapy, which helped somewhat but couldn't heal the twin-sized hole in my life. I'd catch myself picking up the phone to call her when something funny happened, then remembering the phantom pain of her absence was sometimes worse than the betrayal itself. 6 months after Discovery Day, I got an email from Emma. Subject line, "I'm sorry, I almost deleted it without reading." Almost, but curiosity won out. "Ethan left me," it read. "He said he couldn't handle the family drama, said he never meant to hurt anyone, but now he needs a fresh start. He's moving to Seattle. I know you won't believe me, but I'm sorry, Lena. I was selfish and weak and jealous. I've always been jealous of you. You were always the twin with direction, with confidence. I thought if I had what you had, I'd finally feel complete, but I don't. I feel worse than ever. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know he's gone, and I'm sorry." I read it 17 times, felt nothing at first, then everything at once, rage, vindication, grief, exhaustion. I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, a package arrived. Inside was the emerald ring and a handwritten letter from Emma. "He gave me this the night before he left. Said he bought it for you originally, but couldn't afford 2 engagement rings, so he got you the sapphire instead. Then gave this one to me 6 months later when I pressured him about commitment. I don't want it. It was always meant for you. Sell it, donate it, throw it in the Charles River. Whatever brings you peace. I love you. I'm sorry. M." I put the ring in a drawer and tried to forget about it. Tried to forget about both of them. I started dating again, cautiously, moved to a better apartment, got promoted at work. Life went on, as it does, but something about that ring bothered me, not just what it represented, but something about Emma's story. It nagged at me until, nearly a year after everything fell apart, I took the ring to the antique shop where I'd first seen it. "Oh, hello again." The elderly owner greeted me, proving she had a better memory than most people half her age. "Did you end up purchasing this after all? I remember you and your young man admiring it." I showed her the ring. "Can you tell me when this was sold? And to whom?" She checked her records, flipping through an actual paper ledger. "Let's see. Yes, this piece was sold 18 months ago, to a Mr. Ethan Caldwell." 18 months ago, when Ethan and I had been together for 18 months, when Emma claimed they'd already been seeing each other for over a year. "Are you certain of the date?" I asked. She nodded, showing me the entry. "Quite certain. He paid in full that day, said it was for a special occasion." I felt sick. He hadn't bought the ring for me and given it to Emma later, as she claimed. He'd bought it right after I showed it to him, and had been planning to give it to my sister all along, while staying with me, while proposing to me with a different ring. The shop owner must have seen something in my face. "Is everything all right, dear?" No. Nothing was all right. Ethan hadn't just cheated. He'd orchestrated an elaborate deception involving both of us. The emerald ring wasn't evidence of him choosing Emma over me later. It was proof he'd been playing us both from the beginning. I left the shop in a daze and found myself walking to the river. I stood on the bridge, the emerald ring heavy in my pocket. With sudden clarity, I understood what had happened. Ethan hadn't fallen for Emma after meeting her at my birthday dinner. He'd seen an opportunity, identical twins, and deliberately pursued us both. The ultimate narcissist fantasy, the separate proposals, the different rings, the working late excuses that gave him time with both of us. It wasn't a love triangle, it was a calculated game. I took out my phone and texted Emma for the first time in over a year. "The ring was never meant for me. He bought it for you 2 weeks after I showed it to him. He played us both." Her response came quickly. "How do you know?" "I checked with the shop owner. He bought it 18 months ago. He was already planning to propose to you while still with me." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, finally. "Can we talk? In person." We met at a coffee shop halfway between our apartments. The first few minutes were awkward, tears, halting apologies, the weight of shared history and shared pain. But then we started comparing timelines, text messages, stories he'd told each of us. The pattern was unmistakable. Ethan had created separate but parallel relationships with us, telling each what we wanted to hear, making each feel special and chosen. He told me you were controlling, Emma said, her voice small. That you monitored his whereabouts, checked his phone, that's why he needed space. I almost laughed. He told me you were emotionally unstable, that you threatened self-harm if he didn't spend time with you. We stared at each other, the truth settling between us like a physical presence. He pitted us against each other, I said finally, and we let him. Emma nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Lena. I should have talked to you. I should have questioned why he insisted we keep things secret. And I should have recognized the signs, should have trusted my instincts when things didn't add up. We weren't ready for forgiveness that day. Maybe we never fully will be. Some betrayals leave permanent scars. But we were ready to recognize our common enemy wasn't each other. It was the man who saw our sisterhood as an opportunity for exploitation, rather than something sacred to respect. I never did anything with that emerald ring. It sits in a box in my closet, not as a reminder of what I lost, but of what I found. The painful truth that some people enter our lives not to love us, but to use us. And the empowering truth that we can choose how our stories continue after betrayal. Emma and I are slowly rebuilding. Weekly coffee, occasional dinners. It's not what it was before. It never will be. Trust, once shattered, doesn't reassemble without showing the cracks. But we're trying. As for Ethan, last I heard, he's engaged again, to another woman in Seattle. Sometimes I think about warning her, but then I remember that's not my responsibility anymore. I've carried his secrets long enough. Now I carry only my own truth. That I am worthy of honest love, that I am stronger than what broke me, and that not even identical DNA can duplicate the hard-won wisdom that comes after surviving someone else's lies.